Hello, everybody, once again, and welcome back to the podcast. It's 3 a.m., and this is important. I'm Matt, and with me, as always, is Jessy.
Hello, hello.
And what are we going to be talking about today, Jessy?
Today we're going to be talking about astrology.
Astrology.
Yeah.
Very exciting stuff.
Yeah. More specifically, Western astrology.
As opposed to Eastern.
Yeah. I mean, there's like maybe a little bit of Eastern in there. There's just too much to cover for one episode. So We're doing mostly Western. Yep.
And you've fact checked some of this stuff with our friends.
Yeah, a little bit. Big shout out to Everett, Ashley, and Celeste. 3 of our friends that are really Everett not so much, but Celeste and Ashley are really into it. So
yes, seem to have a decent amount of knowledge on the subject.
Yeah, more knowledge than we are going to bring to the table. So
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, cool. How do you want to kick this thing off?
I kind of thought we'd start off like, any half decent high school essay with a definition.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah. Webster's dictionary defines astrology
as the study of the movements and relative positions of celestial bodies interpreted as having an influence on human affairs and the natural world.
Ah.
It's a pseudoscience, Matt.
Yeah,
I'm coming right out of the gate. It's a pseudoscience. I don't believe in it. What about you?
I don't know. I'm like kind of undecided. I have spiritual aspects of myself that, I guess I'd just be open-minded. I don't necessarily not believe in astrology. I don't necessarily believe in astrology. I'd like to plead the fifth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it.
Fair enough. So there's no evidence that like the planets or the stars or anything like that influence us at all.
Yes, says who, Jessy? Says you. You're the boss.
Science?
No, I know.
Science says it. But if you want to get like really technical about it, and I was kind of thinking about this the other day while I was looking stuff up, is like everything has gravity, right? Like even like a single atom has gravity.
Sure.
And the way that gravity works, and I'm not getting into the science on it because I don't really understand it, but like gravity is infinite. Like the pull of gravity on any given thing is like it's infinite. There's no range for gravity.
Right.
It's just the amount that it affects things just decreases exponentially the further you are away and kind of the heavier it is, right? Yeah. Obviously. So, I mean, like technically everything does influence things in some small way because gravity of all things sort of kind of not really, but still does.
It's all one giant intergalactic cosmic dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like in a very, very small way, they're playing some sort of a factor.
Yeah.
Scientifically.
Yeah.
But
gravity.
Yeah. So I figure we'll kind of do like a timeline, then we'll break down the zodiac a little bit, and then we'll go over like a few types very like briefly is kind of the plan.
Okay.
But before we do that, what's your star sign, dude?
I'm a Pisces.
Wow.
Means I'm a fish boy.
Yeah, you're like half man, half fish.
Yeah, I'm mostly fish.
Mostly fish.
I'm like 78% fish.
What? Oh, is
I
like
had myself tested
sign?
Years ago.
All right.
You ever do the 23andMe? 78% fish.
78% fish. Wow.
All right, what's your star sign?
My star sign is Scorpio.
Scorpio.
A little couple of pincers, a little stinger.
You're the spicy one, aren't you?
Yeah, that's like what the internet tells me I am.
You're spicy.
Yes, I'm spicy.
God, such a Scorpio
petty,
move. Yeah.
Petty, spicy, holds grudges,
yeah.
moody.
Yeah, what about that isn't totally you?
Yeah. Right?
Sorry, I'm a Scorpio.
Sorry. Yeah.
You ever pulled that?
No. Oh my God. No.
Please do someday.
Kill me now. That's my nightmare. But yeah, so that's interesting. That's kind of cool. Obviously, I knew your birthday, but I don't have like... I don't have anything memorized. Yeah.
Did you learn anything about like other star signs that weren't ours?
No. So I didn't actually really go into like any of that specifically. Like I said, there's just so much to cover.
Well, also, I feel like that's like the first thing people look up about like this kind of stuff, and they find out what their star sign is and what it means. So most people in our age bracket at least know.
Yeah. My assumption is that you've done the bare minimum, I guess.
Yeah.
And have some
And I think that's a fair assumption.
Yeah.
It's a pretty pervasive type of pseudoscience, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, horoscopes are like kind of in the zeitgeist, they're all over the place, and we see them every time we open a newspaper, or probably every time you pop on social media.
Or what are those like tiny little news flyer things you find in restaurants in small towns? The 5-minute news or whatever.
Yeah, so it's just like coffee news, basically,
the coffee
right?
news, that's what it's called. Yeah.
In Camrose, it was called the morning news.
Ooh,
and I was friends with the guy, like with the dude whose parents owned it. Anyway,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember always, when I was in Lethbridge, always getting the coffee news wherever we were.
Oh, you're talking about the tan one specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got the little trivia things on them. Oh, I fucking love those.
Yeah, and it also had all the horoscopes on it.
Yes, it did. And like 3 little spots where you could like try to get a discount if you could find like the little man.
Yeah, the little
like,
dude.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so cool.
Wow, this is going to make sense to none of our listeners. But
yeah.
It's great.
Hey, shout out to my Lethbridge homies.
Yeah, well, Albertan homies.
Shout out to my Albertan homies.
Alberta wide.
Yeah, okay. Sure, I don't know anything.
Anyway, yeah. So let's get back on track a little bit.
Fine.
Why don't we start off with our little timeline here?
Okay.
So the earliest evidence that we have of astrology is carved into bones and is painted on cave walls. And they show essentially that human beings have been tracking lunar cycles as far back as 25,000 years ago.
25,000?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That's early.
Yeah. But
That's
I guess,
really old.
I don't know, when you're just doing your best to survive and don't have a roof over your head, you know, you're going to spend a lot of time looking up at the stars.
Well, yeah, I feel like you're going to reach for anything that might help, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like if you look at the cosmos and you don't know what you're looking at, you might see it as some kind of like divine map or
absolutely
like divine messenger or whatever.
Even today, people still do that.
Yeah.
And that's how it started at its core, is definitely divine interpretation.
Yeah, you got to toss your good vibes out into the universe, right?
Yeah, man. And hopefully a god will yeet some back at you.
Yeah. Throw me some of that fortune, baby.
Yeah. So yeah, 25,000 years ago, we started tracking lunar cycles.
Cool.
As far as kind of like modern-ish, or like kind of the astrology that we know it today goes, that started in the 2nd century.
Okay.
Or sorry, 2nd millennium.
2nd millennium.
2nd millennium BC.
Wow.
By the Babylonians.
The Babylonian.
Yeah. They were the first civilization that recorded and tracked the constellations.
Okay.
And the tracking of celestial bodies began solely as a form of divination, just like we just said.
Okay.
Yeah. Are just looking up in the sky and thinking they're divine and gods and all that.
So is that
fun
essentially
stuff.
the first recognition of seasons then?
Yeah. Oh, you're so smart. We're going to get into it for sure. But that's exactly kind of what ended up happening with
that's
it.
Cool.
Yeah. Oracles would read the stars and interpret celestial events like eclipses and comets and things like that in order to serve the king and his empire.
Okay.
And in its earliest stages, astrology was used only for royalty and for predictions that would affect like the entire kingdom.
Right.
So like nowadays, I feel like most horoscope astrology things are like highly individualistic.
Yeah, they're pointed at the everyday.
Exactly, yeah.
The everyday man and woman and everything in between.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you are, it's for you.
Yeah, yeah.
This horoscope is for you.
But at its beginnings, it was, flip it and reverse it. It was the exact opposite.
Strictly divine and very much for royalty only.
Well, more specifically the king, because the king was the only one that could, was the only one chosen by the gods or whatever.
Right. And the king, it was always the king and God were like right up next to each other, basically.
Yeah, God, then king, then everybody else. Yeah. So yeah, it was used for big picture stuff, essentially.
Interesting.
Yeah. Over time, though, the Babylonians start recognizing and recording the patterns among the stars, and this is how the first constellations were discovered or created.
Okay.
Most constellations also represented a god or divine creature, and eventually 12 constellations were chosen that followed the ecliptic or the path of the sun, and thus the zodiac was created.
Wow.
Yeah. And the ecliptic, just really quick, is basically the horizon. Like if you think about the horizon, a 360 view, that's the ecliptic.
Essentially the visible sky.
Yeah. But it's the 360 along the middle of the sky. If you imagine the sky going horizon around the whole globe kind of thing. Yeah, the middle of the... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the Babylonians created the zodiac.
That's cool. Good for you, Babylonians.
I know.
Well done.
Good job.
I don't know why they would have done that.
Well, I'm going to get into it.
Okay.
Because the zodiac proved incredibly useful. With it, the Babylonians could record the seasons.
Yeah.
Crops could be consistently planted and harvested at the optimal time of year. Water reserves were managed more effectively. Animal migration patterns were more easily predicted, and the citizens had a way to track major projects throughout the empire.
Can you imagine being the people that figured this shit out?
Yeah.
Like now it's just common knowledge, all this shit, but like somebody had to figure it out.
Yeah.
That always blows my mind when you like learn about the people that actually had to start from nothing. And like before that, they were just guessing when to grow shit, when animals are going to be around, what kind of weather you're going to have, just like anything like that. You're just fucking throwing shit in the wind and like hoping that you were right.
Yeah.
And then they figured out a system, which blows my mind.
Mm-hmm. And like obviously things are different now because I feel like your average modern day person is not looking up at the stars or the sky with any regularity.
Well, no, because we have meteorologists and we have, you know, satellite imagery and
But somebody took enough time to, follow a constellation and realize it's slowly moving across the sky and then paying enough attention over the course of a year to realize it showed back up again.
Yeah. That's wild.
Craziness. Yeah.
Somebody was just tracking that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
But they did it.
Smart people.
Yeah. So by the 4th century BC, their mathematical prowess had grown enough that they were able to track planetary positions with a fair amount of accuracy.
Okay.
An extensive ephemerides were made. And ephemerides basically is just like a little chart that shows the trajectory of celestial bodies, and they're used in astrology and celestial navigation.
Okay.
So it's basically like a star line chart that tracks like where a star or a planet is and where it's going to be.
Now, I'm not sure if you would know this, but did they have any type of magnification devices at this point?
BC? No, I don't think so because, well, I'm talking out of my ass on this one, but I highly doubt lenses had been invented yet. Like I think that was definitely like a European thing. I'm
not sure either way.
Yeah, I think it was after, oh God, I could be so wrong, but I think it was after the Middle Ages.
Okay.
That like lenses actually became a thing.
Maybe. I do remember seeing a documentary a long time ago, and I don't remember if it had any factual evidence based on
You might be thinking of Cosmos, because I know they cover it in Cosmos. The guy that like started using lenses and basically created the first telescope and stuff like that.
Wasn't that in Egypt?
I don't know. I feel like I remember it differently than Egypt, anymore. But yeah. But I can pretty safely say that the Babylonians were not using any sort of magnification or telescopes or anything like that.
Yeah, that's probably fair to say.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how it started. That's how astrology started out. The Babylonians, they crushed it. They killed it. They figured out the zodiac, and that allowed them just a ton of opportunities and a way to more effectively track time.
Cool.
And it's absolutely part of the reason that they were a dynasty for, hundreds and hundreds of years.
It does make sense.
Yeah.
They had some smart people doing smart things, and it sounds like whoever was in charge valued that knowledge rather than tried to push it down to feel superior.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. That's good. That's how good societies run.
Yeah. Another like small thing to note too is like back in the day, astrology was considered scientific.
Right.
This was
as most pseudosciences did begin. Right?
Yes. Yeah. But very much like these are your scholars that are doing it. It's not some nut job or somebody that's not trained. These are the smartest people in the empire or over across the globe, I guess, that were working on this.
And honestly, at this time, astrology did make sense, I think, just because of the lack of technology, the lack of tools to actually acquire any other type of measurement for the world, right? So astrology does seem like it was the best tool they had at their expense at that point.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I mean, their knowledge was just so lacking. Like, I don't even think they knew planets existed. They certainly thought the whole universe revolved around Earth.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. It was kind of the best they had at the time. So the second kind of major civilization that got into it, as far as Western civilizations go, because there's some Chinese astrology going on around 2 BC.
Okay.
The second millennium BC as well. But as far as the Western side of things goes, Egyptians are who we're going to cover next.
Ooh, Egyptians.
Yeah. So they were early adopters of astrology as well. And they too had a zodiac. And their zodiac
they
had their own zodiac. And they actually shared 2 constellations with the Babylonians.
Oh.
The Balance and the Scorpion.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Mine. OG. Egyptians and Babylonians.
Everyone saw the Scorpion.
So hard. Yeah, I guess so. And it's kind of embarrassing. Like even after all this research and stuff, I don't know what the Scorpion looks like in the sky.
Yeah.
I can't identify it.
I don't know where any of the constellations are.
Yeah.
Because they don't look like what they say they look like.
No. Definitely not. But the Egyptian calendar was more sophisticated than its Babylonian counterpart.
Okay.
So while they still divided their sky into 12 parts, they also divided it further into 36 groups of stars called decans that sectioned off the 360 degrees of the sky into 10-degree sections.
Wait, would that be weeks? Or what is that? No. I just sounded stupid. All right, keep going.
No. You're so close to what they actually used it for.
Okay.
So you're not quite there, but we'll get into it. Oh, you're so adept, Matt. You're great. Okay. So the decans rised along the horizon consecutively throughout each daily Earth rotation.
Okay.
And the rise of each new decan signified the start of a new decadal hour throughout the night, and they were used as a sort of star clock.
Oh.
So you were so close. They used
they were
it
just
hourly.
measuring for time.
They were measuring for time.
It was a clock.
It was. They
Cool.
used these groups of stars, these decans, as a clock at night.
Wow.
Which is so freaking cool.
That's insane.
Yeah.
How do you come up with that shit?
I don't know.
How do you be the first person to think about that shit?
Yeah, 36 groups of stars is so many groups of stars to be able to individually pick out.
How do you separate them? How do you write it all down? How do you do any of this shit with any accuracy and be able to relay all this information to everyone else?
And not only that, you have to recognize them easily enough to just casually be able to look at the horizon and know which star hour you're in or which decan hour.
Can you imagine being like
an
Egyptian kid in like school learning about this shit right away? It's like, we're going to learn how to read the sky.
Yeah.
Damn.
And there's people out there nowadays that don't even know how to read an analog clock.
Yeah. How far we've come.
But on top of the kind of decan hours, decans also gave way to a lunar division of 27 or 28 days that were known as the manzil or lunar mansions.
Okay. Lunar mansions.
Yeah. That's kind of the direct.
That's so much better than a month.
Yeah. Lunar mansions.
Lunar mansions. I'm going to start calling months that. What lunar mansion is it? It's July, dude.
So in the 3rd century BC, Alexander the Great conquered Egypt and founded the city of Alexandria.
Yes.
And with him came a renewed Babylonian influence. For the next 2 centuries, the scholars of Alexandria were prolific in their writing and research, and they ended up combining Decanic and Babylonian astrology.
Okay.
They also combined the importance of eclipses from the Egyptians and the Greek system of planetary gods into a new form of astrology, the horoscope.
The horoscope.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. We're getting white girl Instagram here.
Yeah,
so early on.
I know, which is so cool. I would have never guessed that like Egyptians created it, but they combined the two biggest systems in their part of the world, and that's how we got the horoscope.
That's really cool, actually.
And the horoscope, of course, is a visual representation of the heavens and the idea that the alignment of the planets at any given moment reflects the nature of said moment.
Okay.
Especially anything that is born in said moment.
Right. Okay.
That's where our main kind of horoscope comes.
So that's why you have a star sign.
Yeah.
Why your horoscope is on your birthday or why it aligns to your birthday.
Exactly. And not just the stars, like planets as well.
Mm-hmm.
All of that is said to have some sort of influence
on
who you are as a human. A major force behind the invention of the horoscope was an Alexandrian scholar named Ptolemy. Ptolemy's primary work, the Tetrabiblos, was a combination
Tetrabiblos?
Yeah, Tetrabiblos.
So that's like a 10 book.
I guess so. Yeah. Is that the direct translation? Tetra,
well,
10, Biblos
10,
book?
Biblos is like either book or library or whatever.
Huh. I didn't even think about that.
I don't know.
Yeah, so the Tetrabiblos was a combination of philosophy and astrology, and it laid the groundwork for all of Western astrology, period.
Okay.
Huge, influential book. It was one of the first astrological works to be circulated through medieval Europe and is said to have enjoyed almost the authority of the Bible among astrological writers of 1,000 years or more.
Wow. So like super foundational.
Yeah.
There are everything we know about astrology at this point.
Yes. And like back in the day, right around, the death of Jesus and the year 0 and all that fun stuff. I don't know what the actual term is for that. When we hit year 0, translations were not easy to come by.
Sure.
Like translating things had to be done by hand. There was not a lot of people that knew multiple languages. Like it was a big deal for this thing to be translated as much as it was and to be spread as much as it was.
Yeah.
But he was the guy. He was the guy for a long, long time.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So by the time the 1st century BC rolled around, there were 2 main branches of astrology.
Okay.
You had your horoscopic and your theurgic astrologies. Theurgic meaning God work, like the direct translation is
sounds
God
like
work.
Theology. So yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly. Unlike horoscopic, which predicted the past, present, and future, theurgic astrology emphasized the soul's ascent to the stars and served as a form of dialogue with the divine.
Okay.
And it was practiced by the Greeks. They still did horoscopic, just not nearly as much as theurgic, at least around the 1st century BC.
Okay.
So in case you weren't aware, for a time in Greece, each planet was named after and represented a god.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like a big tie-in, or the easiest example I can give of like how theurgic Greece was.
Yeah, they all relate to gods.
Yeah, all their major gods were planets.
The planets are divine, that kind of thing.
Exactly. So some Greeks also consulted the Chaldeans, which is basically what the Greeks called the Babylonians.
Okay.
So to get the kind of their horoscopic fix, they would consult the Chaldeans, and they basically asked them to make omens for things like war and farming, and like, when do I do this, or when's the best time to do this, or should I be wary of this enemy? Shit
Sounds
like
very
that.
pagan.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, a lot of the multi-god religions sound very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a lot of the same effigical sort of practices and that kind of thing. And omens are always a big deal.
Yeah. Oh, really cool side note that I totally forgot to bring up about the Babylonians. So before they got into divination and astrology, you know what their form of divination was?
What?
Was on their sacrificial sheep, they would sacrifice sheep and like goats and stuff and animals.
Right.
They would look at the liver spots of the animal, on the animal, and interpret that as their like main form of divination.
Really?
Yeah. So they would sacrifice animals, look at the animal's liver, and figure out what the gods wanted to say based off of the liver spots.
Wow. I bet a lot of sheep were really happy when they started looking up.
Yeah.
Like, goddamn.
So weird though, right? What an upgrade.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that might have been the main catalyst for like why somebody wanted to figure something else out. It's like, we got to stop doing this. We're running out of sheep meat. Because we just keep killing sheep.
Yeah, the guy that had to kill the sheep and cut out the liver was like, there's got to be a better way.
There's got to be a better way. What do you think the pitch was like for that? Guys, we've been cutting sheep for way too long. I got an idea. Have you ever looked up?
Have you tried looking up?
Oh,
that's fantastic. Yeah, sorry for that side note, but it's hilarious, and I definitely wanted to bring it up. Okay, so Greece's adoption of astrology also influenced the Roman Empire. More specifically, its commoners. Astrology eventually became so pervasive among the Romans that the phrase Chaldean wisdom became synonymous with astrological divination.
Okay.
So the Babylonians or the Chaldeans were so well known for it in the Roman Empire that,
they literally became slang.
Yeah, they had slang.
Cool.
But that just kind of, I don't know, that really opened my eyes a little bit to just the sheer influence of these guys. Like, this is what they were known for.
It's very cool.
Yeah, they really had a lock on it for a long, long time. Some Roman emperors, such as Thrasilius, would actually have court astrologists as well.
So just a guy there that was just telling them things about astrology all the time.
Yeah.
Whenever you needed a reading.
A consultant, which was often every day for a lot of rulers, was like every
It's like his Google wake up routine.
Yeah.
He's like, where's my astrologer?
Yeah, exactly.
Tell him to tell me things.
In the 2nd century CE, the Roman astrologer Claudius Ptolemy. Ev, this one's for you. In the 2nd century CE, the Roman astrologer Claudius Ptolemy, which if you remember from the Egyptian guy, his last name was Ptolemy. So I think like he must have named himself after
maybe
the super influential Egyptian. Anyways, Claudius Ptolemy was so obsessed with getting accurate horoscopes that he began the first attempt at making an accurate world map so that he could chart the relationship between a person's place of birth and the heavenly bodies.
No way. Was he the first guy to map the world?
No.
Technically.
But like first kind of major recording.
First attempt.
Apparently. And Ev, this is for you. During this attempt, he actually coined the term geography.
Really?
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
Whoa.
Yeah.
He's the guy that invented geography.
Or at least coined the term, I guess. Yeah.
He invented it.
He did it.
He did it.
As popular as it was, though, astrology had its fair share of naysayers as well.
Of course.
The Greek oralist Cato wrote a treatise warning Greeks not to consult the Chaldeans. Cicero's De Divination rejects astrology and other divinatory techniques. An Epicurist philosopher who has the best name of all time. I'm so excited to tell you his name.
What is it?
Sextus Empiricus.
Yeah.
Right?
Sextus Empiricus, my boy.
Yeah.
Damn, I would party with him.
Right? Sextus.
Yeah.
So good.
What's up, Sextus?
Empiricus.
Empiricus.
Just power. Raw power.
Yeah. That dude fucks.
That dude fucks. Holy shit, does he ever. So Sextus Empiricus compiled...
Come on, man. Say it with a straight face. We're doing education.
Here we go. Sextus Empiricus compiled ancient arguments against astrology in a book called Against the Astrologers.
Wow, it's really subtle.
Yeah. And there was a few other like Greek philosophers. I don't have any names written down or anything that just like really thought it was bullshit.
Yeah.
I remember one guy essentially used twins as an example and said like, oh, twins are born on the exact same day. So why are so many of them so different kind of thing, you know?
Right.
Which is a really logical and simple way to kind of...
Yeah. On a surface level, it does make sense to like come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
That it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so there's quite a few people that were just distrusting, and the Chaldeans or the Babylonians did have a lot of power, and like that was another reason for people distrusting them and things like that. So there were naysayers for sure.
Right.
But we're going to fast forward a little bit now.
Fast forward.
We're going to fast forward to medieval Europe. It's 1,000 years. We're fast forwarding 1,000 years because there's just too much to cover in those 1,000 years. But over the past 1,000 years, Islamic, Persian, and Indian influences combined with Western astrology, and a rapid translation of their astrological works was underway.
Okay.
So during the Middle Ages, we had the printing press. Translations were a lot easier.
Sure.
Islamic, Persian, and Indian, like I said, all of those cultures also had major booms in astrology.
Right. Okay.
I know India still practices astrology today.
Sure.
As kind of a quick little
culture.
Side note, but it's like major in their culture.
Right. Okay.
Like they'll consult horoscopes for weddings to see if like the marriage is going to be okay, and like they'll literally call off a marriage if a horoscope reads poorly.
Wow.
Today, still.
That sucks, man.
Yeah, which is just fucking wild to me, but all right. By the end of the 1500s, physicians across Europe were required by law to calculate the position of the moon before carrying out complicated medical procedures.
Well, yeah. Gotta know where that moon's at.
It's science.
It's science. Yeah, but by that point, they thought that there were ghosts in your blood and they'd have to bleed you out to make you feel better. And
oh, fuck, I'm forgetting the name. There's like something about a certain amount of liquids, like you had bile, you had blood, you
had certain fluid dynamics and like balances.
Yeah. It was all about balance.
Yeah.
It was like a big thing in the plague too, apparently.
Yeah.
During that whole time, they thought that shit. Anyway, university education was divided into 7 areas, each being represented by a particular planet.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. As sciencey as it gets, like higher education being majorly influenced by the planets.
Astrology.
Just kind of a quick side note, 7 planets, because at the time, that's all they knew about.
Right.
Yeah.
They couldn't see the other ones.
Yeah. And older horoscopes don't have, I think, oh shit, what is it? I think it's Neptune and Pluto.
Right.
That they didn't have yet. So our modern horoscope has like added those planets in.
My planet.
Your planet. And my planet, actually. Scorpio's planet is Pluto. But we'll get into it.
It's not even a planet anymore.
I know. I hate it. I hate it so fucking much. European leaders, including some popes, consulted astrologers daily.
Yeah.
Horoscopes were commonplace, and astrology had made its way into the art and scientific communities of Europe.
Okay.
So for 1,700 years, astrology was a major, major influence on the Western world.
Well, I guess it just became the thing that dictated all things, right? At that point?
Yeah.
In some cultures.
It was a major part of every single European's life every day. Yeah, for sure.
Everything's kind of backbone was kind of resting on astrology at that point.
Yeah, not necessarily the be-all, end-all, but absolutely an everyday thing.
Yeah.
And I suppose you could argue it's still influencing things today, but decidedly less so.
Not as pervasive in our higher education or in our sciences, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the Renaissance was far less kind to astrology because you had the Enlightenment.
Right.
Suddenly, it was all about empirical evidence, what you could experiment, what you could prove. And like we kind of talked about a little bit at the start of the episode.
What you can touch.
You can't prove it. You can't prove astrology.
Yeah. There's no actual tangible evidence of astrology really doing anything.
Mm-hmm. And I think also like humans were also figuring out a lot about the world that astrology had previously had an answer for, you know? But as we kind of evolved and figured shit out that we had solid evidence for, astrology just kind of hit the wayside.
Yeah. Which makes sense because that's what the scientific method's all about.
Mm-hmm.
Is accepting one thing until something else happens.
Yeah.
And then accepting that new thing without even really mentioning the old thing because it's changed.
Sure.
It's different now.
So from the 18th century to the 20th century, astrology was definitely less commonplace.
Yeah.
Still used from time to time and stuff, but it kind of got a bad rap for a while. Still kind of has a bad rap.
Yeah.
But then the 20th century came along and a resurgence in astrology also came along.
Okay.
Largely in part to mass media.
Sure.
So you had newspapers that could be printed and shipped countrywide or across multiple countries. You had radio, you had TV.
Yeah.
And then in the 60s, you also had the hippie movement.
Yeah.
And those two things really just mingled and came together.
Everything's got a cycle, man.
And it perfectly hoisted up astrology again to now where it's very relevant and you see it all the time. So that's kind of cool. In addition to that, a new field of astrology emerged in the 1970s called psychological astrology.
Psychological astrology. Yeah. I know I've heard of it, but I've never looked into it.
So it can be traced back to the theosophist Alan Leo at the turn of the 20th century. So Alan applied astrology to understand the traits and characteristics of individual personality rather than to predict events or converse with gods.
So he's who we get to blame for people saying, well, I'm a Scorpio, so that's how I am.
Yeah, you could blame him for sure.
Fuck that guy.
You could absolutely blame him. And that's kind of it for the history.
Okay.
And like I've said before, but I feel the need to say it again, we skipped over so much. We skipped over all of Eastern. We skipped over like a ton of like prevalent works and things like that. There's just so much to go off of. And it's such a long history. But those are kind of the main
you got the spark notes of the origins of astrology in there.
I mean, really, truly spark notes version.
Yeah.
So now let's let's do a little breakdown of the zodiac.
The zodiac.
Yay. So all of the zodiacs are Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces.
Hey, my fish.
Yeah. And they're actually in that order. So Aries is always the first in like any given year.
Oh, like well, good for Aries.
One thing I also think is important to note is that nowadays the zodiac is not technically the constellations,
right?
But are the 30-degree slice of the ecliptic that each constellation represents.
Okay.
So yeah, just a weird distinction, I guess, because I definitely know I thought that they were all just the stars.
Yeah, I thought they were just correlated with the constellations and that was it.
Yeah, but no.
Okay.
Technically, they are the 30-degree slice of the ecliptic.
Interesting.
There's also, and this is probably for me the most fascinating because I had no clue about it, but there's actually two zodiacs.
There's two zodiacs. What do you mean by that?
They all share the same constellations, but they're different. So the two are actually tropical versus sidereal.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
And I'm going to have to do a bit of a semi-in-depth breakdown in order for you to kind of understand what the heck it is because it was pretty confusing, but I think I did an okay job of explaining it. So the sidereal zodiac is based off of fixed stars, and that's where the zodiac begins with Aries. The tropical zodiac is based off of equinoxes, aka where the sun spends as much time under the horizon as it does above it.
Right.
The equator.
Yes.
Tropical zodiac. So the tropical zodiac starts each year at the exact same time in late March with Aries. It's consistent because it's on the equator. So what's the difference? The Earth's axis is tilted, and it's this tilt that gives us the seasons, right?
Right.
That tilt shifts incredibly slowly, and it causes the constellations to appear to be sliding backwards in the sky.
Oh, okay.
A full revolution of this tilt takes 26,000 years, and this essentially means that the sidereal and the tropical zodiacs don't line up.
Right.
So the spring equinox no longer coincides with Aries if you aren't on the equator, and thus the sidereal zodiac starts at a different time of year than the tropical zodiac.
Oh.
Hence why we have two different zodiacs.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, if you're not on the equator, it's just inconsistent with the time of year, and thus you have two.
Huh.
And shout out to Ashley, because I gave her a call yesterday, and I kind of asked her, like, what's the difference? Why would you choose to pull your horoscope or your star signs or whatever on one versus the other? And apparently there's no real consensus.
Right.
What I do know is that the tropical zodiac is used far, far more nowadays because it's more consistent.
Right. It's got a set period of time, set start date.
Every year it's consistent. Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I got on that.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's like the atomic clock of zodiac signs.
Yeah. Thanks, tropical zodiac.
Yeah.
There are also things called qualities in a zodiac.
Qualities?
In the zodiac, yeah. Qualities break down the 12 zodiacs into 3 groups, and they essentially explain the characteristics of the people that fall into each quality.
Right. These aren't star sign, moon sign, and sun sign, are they?
No.
Those are a different thing?
I think they're different. I didn't really cover star signs, moon signs, sun signs.
Yeah.
I know
all that stuff that most of us have looked into. And
yeah, I know they're obviously related.
Yeah.
To it. As far as the sun sign goes, by the way, another Ashley shout out, because she said that even people that are into astrology in like a big, big way know that your average newspaper horoscope is fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Because it only takes one sign, the sun sign.
Right.
For each given day, when there are like 9 or 10 or something like that, different signs that you should be reading each and every day if that's what you're trying to get out of it.
Right. Okay.
So even she says it's bullshit. Anyway, back to qualities. The first quality is the cardinal.
The cardinal.
Yes. And the constellations in the cardinal are Cancer, Aries, Libra, and Capricorn.
Okay.
They are known as the initiators of the zodiac. So if you fall under this category, you're said to be a hard worker, always one step ahead of the crowd, and they have a strong need to control what is happening around them.
Okay.
It's kind of a general umbrella.
Did this kind of branch from psychological astrology?
It sounds like it. I don't actually know.
It sounds like this would be more of like what that dude was getting at.
But it absolutely does. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's pulling personality traits.
Right.
And applying it to astrology. So you're probably right. Yeah. The second quality is called fixed.
Fixed.
And the constellations for fixed are Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, and Scorpios.
Huh.
Fixed people are not as willing to change their environment as cardinals are. They are happy to concentrate on personal matters, tend to be hung up on the past, and are strong in their stability.
How does that feel for you?
Not accurate.
Do you relate?
To half of it, and the other half not really. Yeah. But yeah, we'll see how accurate yours is.
Okay.
So the third and final quality is mutable.
Mutable.
And those are Virgo, Gemini, Sagittarius, and Pisces.
Okay.
This group is the most exposed to environmental influences. They are comfortable with letting people go. However, they tend to search for a singular, stable person in their lives to hold on to when their own instability becomes too much.
Right.
Does that seem accurate for you?
Yeah, it sounds a bit like me. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sounds a bit like a lot of people.
Yeah, it sounds a bit like, exactly. It's so generalized.
Yeah.
Now, we also have something in the zodiac called planetary rulers.
Yes.
And essentially, this just correlates to, I think, which planet is most aligned with when you were born.
Okay.
And essentially, whatever your planetary ruler is said to have more power over your life than the other planets because it's your planetary ruler. And the list is as follows. Aries is Mars, Taurus, Venus, Gemini, Mercury, Cancer, the Moon, Leo, the Sun, Virgo, Mercury, Libra, Venus, Scorpio is Pluto. Fuck. Sagittarius is Jupiter, Capricorn, Saturn, Aquarius, Uranus. Every time. Pisces is Neptune.
Mine's Neptune. Honestly, Neptune is one of the coolest names for a planet and also the most forgotten planet.
I don't know. Maybe I'm going crazy here, but I feel like Neptune has something to do with
the sea.
Yeah, Poseidon.
Yeah. Well, it's not Poseidon.
Or just the sea in general.
Or yes, it is.
Isn't it something in SpongeBob too, where they like?
Yeah, Neptune.
Something Neptune. They say something.
Captain Neptune or something. I forget, dude. I don't know. I'm spitting shit that doesn't exist, and I don't want to be this guy.
For all your educational needs.
None of this is right.
All right.
We're
and
2 steps away from being a Facebook post. Please stop listening to us.
Help us. Help us now, please. But if you want us to get more accurate, you could donate to us or just listen more or subscribe so we can afford to do this more in depth.
Yeah.
And not have real jobs.
Yeah, we could get way more into these things and have more time for research and putting things together. But I guess is that what we got for astrology?
No, we've got more. But just a final shout out to any daddies out there that want to pay us a lot of money.
Yeah. We'll do any subject you want.
Yeah. If you pay all my bills.
Please.
Okay. So finally, we're just going to quickly go over just other types of Western astrology. First and foremost being Uranian astrology.
Uranian.
Yeah. Uranian. It's considered to be the most advanced form of astrology. It was created by Alfred Witt and is geometrically based as well as based on symmetry between the planets.
Okay.
So it uses a dial to measure with. And with the movable dial, you can reference any plane or point you would like on the horoscope.
Okay.
And then when you're referencing a point or a plane, you can see symmetrical arrangements. So it just uses a special dial that like kind of more easily shows you symmetries and stuff within your chart.
Right.
And is supposedly more accurate.
Okay. Interesting.
Then you have horary, Horary, horary?
Sure.
Horary astrology. It's a form of divination where a question is asked and a chart is created for the exact same time the question was asked.
Kind of like a tarot reading?
Kind of, yeah.
Just sort of, yeah.
In the same realm, really, yeah. And then kind of on the flip side of that, you have electional astrology.
Electional?
Yeah. So it's a branch of astrology where the time of a specific event is chosen based off the stars and planets. So
is that how they pick the time for Coachella every year?
Sure. Yeah. Electional astrology. But a ton of people, a ton of different countries and cultures throughout, the history of the planet and astrology use this.
Right.
So this is like, hey, when's the best time to go into battle? Or when's the best time to have a wedding? Stuff like that. Or even elections. Then we have natal astrology. It's a system of astrology that can help shed light on an individual's personality or path in life.
Okay.
The concept is based on constructing a natal chart for the exact date, time, and location of that individual's birth.
Right.
It just helps you make choices. Then we have Magi astrology.
Magi? That sounds fun.
Magi. It was developed by the Magi Association, who is self-proclaimed the richest and most powerful astrology association on the planet.
Has anyone measured this?
No, but they're claiming it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. You can say anything.
We better not say too many bad things about the Magi Association.
Man, fuck the Magi Association.
Right? I'm going to shit on them a little bit more too.
Okay.
So essentially they created the Magi Astrology in 1998.
Okay.
I checked the website and I couldn't actually figure out what it is. Like their official Magi Association website.
Does it look like it's from 1998?
It does. It actually does. It
yeah.
looks like slightly better than the Heaven's Gate website.
Oh, God.
Like it looked a little cultish and weird and very I don't know. It was just bad. It was just rough.
HTML5.
Very HTML5, very full of themselves and a lot of words with not a lot of information.
Okay. Yeah.
But they claim that it's more they claim that it is far more accurate than other forms.
Okay.
Of astrology.
Again, you can say anything that you want.
And that's all I have for them because I literally
you can't figure out what they do or how
I can't figure out what they do. I checked their Wikipedia, I checked their official website, I checked probably 5 other websites to try to figure out what the fuck Magi astrology is. And while there was information, again, all of it was just mumbo jumbo without actually saying anything.
What the fuck? Why would they claim anything if they don't have anything to back it up?
I don't know. Admittedly, it's not like I did the fullest research on it. I couldn't read the 3,000 fucking words they had on it, but they didn't get to the point within a reasonable amount of time. So fuck them.
All right. Well, if anyone wants to give us a rundown on what Magi astrology is, please let us know.
Yeah. And then finally, we have human design astrology.
Human design.
And this also helps with decision making. So the idea behind it is that it can show you how to consistently make the right choices in your life.
Okay.
It's a way of allowing your body's intelligence to guide you.
Ah, okay.
So it's basically the claim to fame for these guys, or this version, is that your mind plays tricks on you and your mind isn't accurate, but your body is.
Your body is the true measurement of existence.
Yeah. They also say on their official website, or the website that I came across that looked pretty official for whatever reason. Anyways, it also kind of said, we're not astrology.
Okay.
We're not.
But do they use astrological practices?
Yeah, but they had star signs and shit littered all across their website.
All right, but they're not astrology.
But they're
yeah, you can say anything you want. You can say anything you want, guys.
Because they're more scientific, and you listen to your body, and your body tells you all the right things. And if you listen to your body, you're going to make better choices.
Sounds like a really dramatic way of, like, you know, touting presence and mindfulness.
Yeah. But
yeah,
also
sure, guys.
related to star signs.
But also star signs.
Yeah.
Cool beans.
And it helps you. Oh, another like little tidbit that I just remembered is it helps you. Like they claimed in like a roundabout way that like your mind isn't super unique, but that your body is super unique, which sounds like the opposite.
Yes.
But it helps you. It helps apparently listening to your body helps you track who you are as an original human being as yourself. And your mind is stupid and don't listen to your mind. Listen to your body.
Sure. Follow your heart, your literal heart.
Follow your literal heart.
There you go.
And that's it. That's all I have.
Cool.
That's it. That's all. We may do a part 2, whether that's some sort of fact check, whether that's covering Eastern.
Yeah, I'd like to continue the conversation on astrology at some point.
But there's so much that I missed. Like,
yeah, it's an interesting world, I think. I learned a lot today.
Yeah.
I hope other people did.
Yeah. Like, we didn't cover houses and their interpretations. We didn't really cover the planets and what's considered a planet and what do planets mean and their interpretation in relation to houses.
Fucking magnets, how do they work?
Yeah, we didn't cover aspects. There's also like a ton of extra techniques when you're reading your zodiac.
Sure, okay.
We didn't even cover all the different systems of like astrology. Like there's still Chinese, Arabic, Persian, Indian, like we mentioned. Like there's just so much fucking shit.
So what you're saying is there's more to come.
There's more to come.
All right.
One final note, and Ashley specifically asked that I mention this. So Ash, again, this one's for you. But she says, and she cannot stress this enough, that being an astrologer requires study and formal education.
Okay.
If you want to be legit, you can't be spouting off on the internet like we are of random shit. Like apparently there's so much to learn and it's so in depth. There's so many different styles that if you want to be a proper astrologist, full-blown freaking official thing, it takes years of study and a legitimate formal education.
Well, yeah, just like anything else. And it's like you said, it ruled over everything for like 1,700 years. So, of course, there's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that makes sense.
Makes sense. Which, I don't know, it feels a little silly to me that you would get a formal education in something that's not scientific, but I'm just not super open to that side of things. So that's, I guess, all there is for me to say about that. Yeah.
If you want to, get a formal education, become an astrologer, you do you.
You do you.
Absolutely. Have a great time.
Whatever makes you happy.
Yeah. And with that, I think we're probably going to close it there. Follow us on Twitter at It's 3 a.m. Pod for updates and other things. I swear I'll start tweeting at some point. And just keep listening. We really appreciate you.
Yeah.
We'll have more things about things and stuff that we like and subjects that you wouldn't expect and subjects you absolutely would. So, yeah.
I want to give a little teaser as well.
Okay.
If that's let's go with me.
Go for it.
Aliens.
Oh, yeah.
Aliens and UFOs. We will be covering those very, very soon.
Getting into that ufology.
Yeah, a little bit of ufology, a little bit of alien stuff, a little bit of out of this planet.
That's an exciting one, actually. I forgot about that one.
We're gonna get goofy. We're gonna cover it. It's absolutely something I think all of us have, thought about. 3 a.m.
Dude, 100%.
So,
is there life out there? Are they going to kill us?
Yeah.
Are they going to touch our buttholes?
Maybe.
Who knows?
Tune in.
Find out.
All right. Go to bed, everybody.
Yeah, go to bed.